On average, the transition from study permit to PR is close to 15% only. They are panicking right now. They don't know what to do.
Thanks so much. Now, a Sikh organization in Brampton hosted its first free French class last week to meet what they say is a growing demand. To their surprise, hundreds of temporary residents registered, including international students and work permit holders. The organizers say it's in response to the recent big changes to Canada's immigration system. Here and now, reporter Saloni Bhugra has been looking into this story and joins me in studio now. Hello, Saloni.
Hello, Ramraj.
So tell me more about these French classes. Why did this organization want to offer them?
So a Sikh nonprofit called Sikheya is the one organizing these classes at a Brampton Gurdwara, which is a place of worship. This group helps newcomers with resumes, finding jobs, but recently members like Jaspreet Singh are hearing from community members about wanting to learn French to improve their language skills. He said the group decided to host French classes and expected 40 or 50 temporary residents to show up at the center, but to their surprise, more than 900 people signed up, as you mentioned. Singh says it's a sign of panic due to rapid immigration policy changes that made it harder for international students who are now work permit holders to aspire to become permanent residents or PR.
They are applying for work permits, getting declined. They are applying again, getting declined. On average, the transition from study permit to PR is close to 15% only. So that's why a mass number of international students is turning towards French language. Because of the Francophone programs, they are panicking right now. They don't know what to do. The existing paths, the existing doors are getting closed.
As another example, Singh said his sister has been on a work permit and is taking French classes for $300 a month. And this is a trend we are seeing across the province, Ramraj.
How does increasing French proficiency increase the chances of those on work permits to find a path towards permanent residency?
Yeah, as you would remember, it wasn't long ago the federal government limited the number of international students coming into the country and reduced the overall immigration levels, including permanent residency targets. That effort included the government not extending work permits that students get after graduation. So if it expires, they have 3 months to regain status or leave the country. Now, those decisions came after a record high number of people had already arrived in this country, many of whom are now on work permits. This year alone, according to the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, over 640,000 work permits are set to expire between now and December. So you have hundreds of thousands of people trying to get a limited chance to become a permanent resident, and at a time when it's increasingly difficult to do so. The requirements are high, and the number of candidates a province can nominate have also been cut to half. The federal government is prioritizing specific areas, including French, STEM, and skilled trades. So you will see more temporary residents either switching jobs or trying to learn French.
Is there any guarantee that learning French is going to boost the chances of temporary residents to stay?
Well, taking the classes is expensive. Learning a new language is hard and time consuming. And Jaspreet was telling me how hard it is for some of the students and full-time workers to dedicate those hours and money to it. And even if they do complete these classes, the temporary residents then have to take a test to prove how proficient they are in 4 areas, which is speaking, reading, listening, and writing French. And you have to meet a certain proficiency benchmark. So if you get a Canadian language benchmark of 5 out of 10, you can potentially get a work permit extension. And if you score at least 7 out of 10, you can apply for a permanent residency in the French-speaking category. Again, that just gives you a chance to apply in this category, but there's still no guarantee you become a permanent resident just because you speak French.
Now, you spoke to one of the attendees of this French class. What did he tell you?
One of the people who registered for the French class was Abhijit Singh. Abhijit moved here in 2019 from India, studied computer science, and worked with a pharmaceutical company. But a couple of years ago, he switched to a skilled trade as a painter, hoping that would help him with his residency. But he has been waiting for the province to nominate him for his work as a skilled worker for months now. That's led to his work permit expiring, which means he can't work anymore. His last resort, Ramraj, learning French, which he admits was not his first choice.
Most of the people like me, learning French is like somebody is forcing you to learn it if you even don't want to learn it, because you don't have any choice. It's really hard even to learn, to be honest. You need concentration, to be honest, to learn something very new. I'm frustrated. People like me just sitting in the class, I was like, I have to pay something, or what I'm gonna do right now if they say no.
And what he's referring to there is the anxiety about his future and his worry that the government might say no to his application.
What is the province saying about how this could impact the economy and the labor market here if hundreds of thousands of people have to exit the country or become undocumented?
The province did not directly respond to my question about the impact on the labour market or about Abhijit's long wait, but they pointed me to a news release from last week from the Council of Federations. It said the provinces are calling on the federal government to reinstate provincial nomination program allocation, which was the one we referred to earlier. It's been reduced to half recently. They did acknowledge in that news release the economic and labour importance of immigration. The province is also asking the federal government to allow more Canadian experienced workers to stay and increase its immigration levels plans again.
And what are immigration experts saying?
I spoke with Brampton-based immigration consultant Manan Gupta about this. He has clients who are studying French as their last ray of hope, and he said it won't be a solution for all. So far this year, 18,000 people have secured permanent residency through the French program, but Gupta says that's a drop in the bucket given the backlog is in hundreds of thousands.
Canada has seen a huge influx of temporary residents, which has caused this agony. These are the workers, those who were already allowed to come to Canada 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now, when the movement came for them to aspire to become permanent resident, the government has applied the brakes. But the thing is, they need to be reminded and they need to be told that if they came here on an international student program, it was never meant as a golden ticket to become a permanent resident. Those days are gone. Fake dreams were sold by, shady immigration practitioners around the world. And who benefited? The colleges benefited. But who were the major losers? Common people. Unless Canada starts removing temporary residents from Canada, this thing is not going to improve. Because as long as those temporary residents stay in Canada by hook or crook, by being undocumented or by becoming out of status, things are not going to be changing for good.
There, Gupta pointed out the lack of enforcement in this plan to reduce immigration levels. He says he's worried hundreds of thousands of young workers could just end up becoming part of Canada's increasing population of undocumented residents.
What does the federal government have to say about all this?
A spokesperson for the Federal Department of Immigration told me they believe Canada remains a leading destination for newcomers. They said under the 2025-2027 immigration levels plan, both permanent and temporary resident targets have been reduced to help align immigration with Canada's capacity to welcome immigrants. They did not address concerns about the labour market, the economic impact, or concerns around residents going undocumented. The spokesperson told me international students and Canadian experienced workers make up only 40% of the total permanent residencies granted, and that having a temporary status, like Gupta just mentioned, does not guarantee a transition to permanent residency. In response to the province's request that we mentioned earlier to boost immigration levels, the federal government says it will consider that for future immigration levels, but for now, it is focused on reducing the numbers.
So where does that leave people like Abhijit?
As for Abhijit, he is in a limbo. Like many others in similar situation, he lost his father during COVID and could not attend his funeral. And in the recent India-Pakistan conflict, he also lost his family home.
And right now, I have lost the main thing of my life because I have a career here. I came here as a student because I see a bright future here. Because we believe in the system, this system gonna give us a fair chance. But right now, it's not in my hand. For like 6 years, struggling hard. In the end, what I got is nothing. 6 years are just a waste of time for me right now. If I go back in India, what should I gonna do? This degree not gonna do anything there. I have to go and study again. I'm gonna be like 29 or 30. So how I'm gonna set a career? I don't want to be a failure for my next generation.
So he is waiting to hear back on whether he needs to leave his mom and sister who live here and go back to India and restart his life there, or wait until there is a word on whether or not he's approved.
Saloni, thanks for breaking this down.
Thank you very much, Ramraj.
That's Here and Now reporter Saloni Bhugra.